Our voices are a unique representation of who we are as people. They're a tell of character. So when our voices go ignored, it feels like we are being ignored. Not just our ideas, us. Every time someone is brushed over or talked over, what they're told is you don't matter. And the longer that goes on, the quieter they get. Not because they don't have anything to say, but because the world has conditioned them to believe that no one wants to hear it. And this doesn't just affect the person being silenced. It affects all of us. When voices never have a space, entire perspectives disappear. New ideas never surface. Creativity is stifled. We lose the chance to see things from a different angle because we didn't make space at the table. From the moment I was born, I've had two people guiding me every step of the way. Literally. My sisters held my hands as I took my first steps, and to this day will drop everything when I need them. And that's one of the perks of being the youngest. You always have someone to lean on. But it also comes at a cost. My family doesn't always take me seriously, and I have to fight to be heard. Every evening at the dinner table would become its own kind of battle. I'd take my usual spot, and before the meal even began, I knew how that evening's events would unfold. My parents and sister would dive into conversation, their voices filling the air, and I'd sit quietly, unsure if anyone wanted to hear what I had to say. Grappling with the few seconds between people speaking, my fight or flight system became active. I increased my volume. I spoke faster, because if I didn't, my voice would be drowned out by the passion and conviction in everyone else's. This wasn't just something I noticed at home, though. In my extracurriculars, when I was an underclassman, few people took me seriously. I was always told that if I wanted to make real change, I'd have to wait until I made it to the board. And the next year, when I did make it to that board-level position, I was told to keep waiting, to wait until I was president, to wait for that next step up. And when people don't listen to you, it isn't about just missing those few words. It's about what that silence says. It says that your thoughts don't matter. You aren't worth the space that you take up. And when you receive that message enough times, you begin to wonder if it's even worth speaking at all. But if we actually engage with the speaker instead, it shifts how people feel instantly. We notice that people feel more respected. They feel seen. And none of us are perfect at this. I know I personally am not. Even when we care, even when we genuinely want to understand what the other person has to say, we still slip. Subconsciously, our mind starts to wander. We begin to think about what we're going to say next. How are we going to respond? And we tell ourselves that's okay, that listening and thinking at the same time is just a part of the conversation. But the problem is, as soon as our focus shifts inward, the other person can feel it. We've all probably experienced something similar to our voices being silenced. Our parents shut us down with 4 simple words: because I said so. Yeah. And while none of us are perfect at this, there are still things that we can do. Simon Sinek gives one of the most perfect examples of this through an experience with airline customer service. In the first example, he calls up the airline, explains that his event ended early, and that he wants to get home to his family. The response, immediate and final. Sorry, sir, there's nothing we can do. You have the wrong class of ticket. No effort, no care, just a wall. In the second situation, the outcome is exactly the same. The ticket cannot be changed. But this time, the representative stays on the line. You hear effort in the clicking of keys. You hear explanations. You even hear them check with a manager. So both of these representatives have dealt with this exact situation numerous times. Both of them knew from the start that nothing could be done. So what did change? The policy didn't, the answer didn't, the relationship didn't. The only thing that changed was how the customer was treated. In the first, the customer was talked at. In the second, they were talked with. And that difference doesn't come from authority or flexibility. It comes from making sure that the customer felt included in the process. And that inclusion comes from one specific move. That move is called looping. Looping is the practice of repeating someone's idea, concern, or goal back to them in your own words to show understanding before responding or deciding. It's simple, but it's extremely powerful because it does something that most of us don't do enough. It slows the conversation down and pulls the other person back into it. When we hear our own words reflected back to us, our body language shifts. We relax, we stop defending, and we feel seen. Most of the time, when people's ideas are dismissed, they feel bad, but they don't feel bad because the idea was dismissed itself. They feel bad because it was dismissed without being understood. Looping forces understanding before judgment. You cannot loop someone unless you actually listen to them. You can't repeat back their main idea, their concern, or their motivation if you were busy thinking about what you were going to say next. It holds you accountable as a listener. And on the other side, it changes how the speaker feels instantly. That's why the airline example works so well. The second representative didn't magically gain some kind of new power or bend the rules. They just made the customer a part of the process. So even when the answer was still no, the customer didn't walk away feeling dejected. They walked away feeling respected. So I ask you, the next time you're at a table, literal or not, scan the room and see who's being heard, who isn't, and what can you do to change that? Thank you.